How often do you think about your heart health? Are you aware of the risks of cardiovascular disease? Well, let's dive into the heart of the matter. Cardiovascular diseases, encompassing coronary heart disease and stroke, claim the top spot as the leading cause of death in the United States. Particularly at risk are Blacks and Hispanics in underserved communities. It's a sobering reality, isn't it? But there's good news. Cardiovascular disease is largely preventable. Stay tuned to learn how you can keep your heart beating strong. Heart Smarts, a health program, is here to empower you to live a heart-healthy lifestyle. This program is not just about information, but about transformation. It offers a comprehensive approach to help you understand and achieve heart health. Heart Smarts is committed to reducing the incidence of cardiovascular disease, the leading cause of death in the United States. The program focuses on underserved communities where the risk of heart disease and stroke is greatest. Through education and empowerment, Heart Smarts aims to turn the tide on these statistics. It's a call to action, a call to change, a call to live healthier, longer lives. Heart Smarts is about arming you with the knowledge and tools you need to make heart-smart choices every day. It's about the power of prevention and the promise of a healthier future. Remember, Heart Smarts is not just a program, it's a life-changing journey. It's about taking control of your health, one heartbeat at a time. But don't just take our word for it. Listen to these stories from people who have benefited from Heart Smarts. Imagine being told you're at risk for heart disease, a leading cause of death in the United States. Now picture having the knowledge and tools to combat that risk head-on. For people like Maria, a single mother from an underserved community, Heart Smarts was a beacon of hope. The program informed decisions about her heart health, ultimately reducing her risk of cardiovascular diseases. And then there's John, a middle-aged man who was once a prisoner of his poor lifestyle choices. For him, Heart Smarts was not just a program, but a lifesaver. It opened his eyes to the risks he was taking and gave him the push he needed to commit to a healthier lifestyle. These are not just testimonials, they are life-changing stories. Stories of empowerment, resilience, and triumph over heart disease. These are real stories from real people who have seen the impact of Heart Smarts in their lives. Are you ready to be the next success story? Your heart health is in your hands, and with Heart Smarts, you have the power to make a difference. It's time to take that first step towards a healthier lifestyle, a step that could redefine your future. Heart Smarts is not just an ally, it's a beacon, guiding you to make informed decisions for your heart health. So why wait? The path to a healthier heart is just a click away. You'll find the link to Heart Smarts right down in the description below. Start your journey towards a healthier heart today with Heart Smarts.
Remember the days of 1989? The Berlin Wall fell, the World Wide Web was invented, and a little show called Seinfeld made its debut. Picture this, a show about nothing. Sounds absurd, right? Yet that's exactly what Seinfeld was. And it was in that absurdity that we found a refreshing wave of humor and relatability. As the brainchild of Larry David and Jerry Seinfeld, Seinfeld was a sitcom that dared to be different. It wasn't about a family or a workplace or a group of friends navigating their 20s. No, Seinfeld was about everyday life, about the little things that, when observed closely, are hilariously peculiar. When Seinfeld first aired, it was met with mixed reviews. Critics were unsure what to make of this eccentric show that seemed to lack direction. But as the seasons progressed, so did the show's popularity. Audiences began to appreciate the humor in the mundane, the comedic genius in the show about nothing. The characters, too, were a departure from the usual sitcom archetypes. Jerry, George, Elaine, and Kramer weren't particularly likable or moral, but they were real. They were selfish, neurotic, and often found themselves in absurd situations, much like us. And it was this authenticity that made them endearing to audiences. Seinfeld was also a game changer in terms of its narrative style. It often employed storylines that intersected in unexpected ways, leading to comedic chaos. This nonlinear storytelling was a breath of fresh air in the sitcom space and has since been employed by many shows that followed. But perhaps the most significant aspect of Seinfeld was its impact on popular culture. From yada 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 to no soup for you, Seinfeld gave us catchphrases that are still part of our lexicon today. It gave us moments that we still laugh about and characters that we still quote. Thus began the era of Seinfeld, a sitcom that would redefine the genre and leave its mark on popular culture. So let's dive into those unforgettable moments that made Seinfeld a classic. During the early years, Seinfeld was still finding its footing, experimenting with unique storylines that would later become its signature. The first 3 seasons were a treasure trove of memorable moments that set the groundwork for the show's legendary status. In the very first season, we were introduced to the show about nothing concept in the episode The Stakeout. Jerry and George stake out a woman's workplace so Jerry can accidentally bump into her. It was in this episode that we first saw the show's unique ability to turn everyday situations into comedic gold. Season 2 brought us The Chinese Restaurant, an episode entirely set in real time, where the gang waits for a table at a Chinese restaurant. The episode was groundbreaking for its time, demonstrating that humor could be found in the mundane. The third season gave us The Parking Garage, another real-time episode, this time set in a multi-level parking garage. The gang's search for their lost car turned into a hilarious journey, showing that Seinfeld could make even the most frustrating situations amusing. Each of these episodes marked the show's departure from traditional sitcom norms, pushing the boundaries of what was considered funny. Seinfeld was not just a sitcom, it was a reflection of everyday life, finding humor in the ordinary. The first 3 seasons also introduced us to the quirky characters that would become cultural icons. Jerry, with his obsession with neatness, George with his perpetual bad luck, Elaine with her assertive personality, and Kramer with his eccentricities all became part of the sitcom lore. These early seasons were filled with classic moments that set the tone for the rest of the series. From the infamous soup Nazi to the puffy shirt, every episode was a gem, filled with humor and wit that made Seinfeld the unforgettable sitcom it is today. That was just the beginning. The best was yet to come. As the show progressed, the laughs got bigger and the moments more classic. The 4th season of Seinfeld kicked off with a bang, introducing us to the meta concept of a show about nothing. Who could forget Jerry and George's pitch to NBC? It was a self-referential gem that perfectly encapsulated the essence of Seinfeld. Moving on to the 5th season, we saw Elaine's infamous little kickstance. The awkward, uncoordinated jives became a cultural phenomenon, proving once again that Seinfeld could turn the most mundane aspects of life into comedy gold. Then there was the puffy shirt episode, where Jerry inadvertently agrees to wear a ridiculous pirate-style shirt on a television talk show. It was a hilarious commentary on the absurdity of fashion trends. Meanwhile, in the 6th season, we had The Soup Nazi, an episode revolving around a soup stand owner with strict rules on customer etiquette. This character, with his famous catchphrase, "No soup for you," became an iconic part of Seinfeld lore. These seasons also gave us unforgettable catchphrases like "yada yada yada" and "not that there's anything wrong with that." These phrases not only caught on, but became part of the everyday vernacular, showing the show's cultural influence. Seinfeld wasn't just about the laughs, though. It was also a show that pushed boundaries. Take, for instance, the episode The Outing, where a reporter mistakenly believes Jerry and George are a couple. Instead of denying it outright, they insist, not that there's anything wrong with that, a progressive stance for a sitcom in the mid-90s. The 4th to 6th seasons of Seinfeld were pivotal in the show's evolution. The characters were better defined, the writing sharper, and the comedy more refined. The show was hitting its stride, and there was no sign of stopping. With every episode, Seinfeld proved why it was, and still is, one of the greatest sitcoms ever to grace our screens. In its final years, Seinfeld was at the peak of its game. The show was deftly juggling absurdity and reality, creating a blend of humor that was both relatable and preposterous. It was a show where nothing happened, yet everything did. And it was in these final seasons that Seinfeld truly found its stride. Season 7 gifted us with the iconic Soup Nazi episode. As bizarre as it was hilarious, this episode was a testament to Seinfeld's ability to take everyday situations and twist them into comedic gold. Who knew a soup stand could incite such chaos? Then, there was the 8th season, where George's world was turned upside down by a simple phrase, "Serenity now." This mantra, meant to calm, only amplified George's frustrations, leading to some truly memorable outbursts. It was a perfect example of the show's knack for irony and a testament to its clever writing. But let's not forget the ninth and final season. From Kramer's Merv Griffin show in his living room to George's opposite philosophy, the final season was a roller coaster of hilarity. It was a season that pushed boundaries, reminding us that Seinfeld wasn't just a sitcom, but a commentary on the absurdities of life. Each of these moments was a building block in the towering legacy of Seinfeld. But more than that, they were a testament to the show's ability to find humor in the mundane. They showed us that sometimes the funniest situations are the ones we encounter every day. These final seasons also set the stage for the sitcoms that followed. Seinfeld showed us that a sitcom could be about nothing and everything at the same time. It demonstrated that humor could be found in the most unlikely places, and that the most ordinary situations could be the most comedic. The show may have ended, but its legacy was far from over. From season 7 to 9, Seinfeld continued to push boundaries, challenge conventions, and make us laugh. And for that, it will always be remembered as one of the greats. So why does Seinfeld continue to resonate with audiences today? Well, for starters, Seinfeld revolutionized the sitcom genre. It was a pioneering force that paved the way for a new breed of television comedy, one that was unafraid to delve into the minutiae of everyday life. The show's unique show-about-nothing concept became its trademark, allowing it to explore the ordinary and mundane in hilariously relatable ways. Seinfeld also brought a fresh perspective to character development. Instead of presenting perfect protagonists, Seinfeld gave us flawed, yet lovable characters. The self-centered Jerry, the neurotic George, the eccentric Kramer, and the outspoken Elaine, they were all deeply flawed, and yet they were characters we couldn't help but root for. This depth and complexity in characters was a departure from the norm, and it's a trend that continues in sitcoms today. But perhaps the most enduring aspect of Seinfeld's legacy is its impact on popular culture. The show gave us catchphrases that have seeped into our everyday language. Yada, 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 no soup for you, and not that there's anything wrong with that. These phrases are instantly recognizable, even to those who have never seen a single episode of the show. Seinfeld wasn't just a sitcom, it was a cultural phenomenon that transcended the boundaries of the small screen. Its influence can still be seen in the sitcoms of today, from the observational humor of Curb Your Enthusiasm to the character-driven comedy of The Office. And yet, despite its profound influence, Seinfeld remains uniquely its own. Its humor, while often imitated, has never been replicated. Its characters, while often parodied, have never been matched. The show's ability to find humor in the mundane continues to appeal to audiences, making it as relevant today as it was when it first aired. And that's the magic of Seinfeld, a show about nothing that ended up meaning so much to so many.